72 out of 10 bats were terrified to learn that great tits in Hungary eat bats.
7 out of 10 bats were shocked to discover that golden poison dart frogs can kill up to 20 people with just 1 milligram of poison.
3.14159256 bats were horrified to learn that basil is a code for hatred during the Victorian times.
10 out of 10 bats were shivering with fear to learn that horned lizards are able to increase the pressure in their heads so much as when a predator approaches, they can burst their blood vessels, squirting the predator with blood.
Hello and welcome to 8 out of 10 Bats on Halloween. Coming to you live from a somewhat rainy, you might hear the rain on the roof here at the British Wildlife Centre in Surrey. It's a fantastic place for us to be. 40 different species of UK wildlife here in naturalistic enclosures. It's brilliant for photography, as we said last night. Also a great place for educating and engaging when it comes to those animals, and we'll be seeing a few of them in this programme. Some of them very, very live and up close and personal, which is going to be great. But before that, we're going to cover a few of the things that you've sent here. Take a look at this unusual picture of a kestrel. Now, it looks like an Egyptian vulture with its pale yellow face there, but it is obviously a kestrel. And we think what's happened here is that the bird has been afflicted by either feather mites or feather lice. Now, these animals will sometimes eat the feathers, sometimes eat the skin, and sometimes suck the blood of birds. And what typically happens is that they are therefore irritating, and the birds will scratch them out, and you'll see patches of baldness. Now, on small birds in the winter, this can be quite serious. They can lose heat through hypothermia, and they may well perish. But in many of them, they will actually recover. After all, many parasites, or the vast majority of parasites, of course, are not designed to kill their hosts, only to take advantage of them up to a certain level. So let's hope that somewhere out there there's a fully feathered kestrel flying around looking a lot happier than that. Right, what else have we got?
Next up we have the woodrow weasel, the smallest mustelid. He actually lives here at the British Wildlife Centre. He's actually a rescue as well. Small and mighty, I must say. He can take on a young rabbit. But look how cute he is. Look at those whiskers.
It is very attractive. Well, you say cute though, but not if you're a mouse. This is one of the ultimate weapons out in our countryside, isn't it, really? They may be small. Here's a fact for you. The head of a weasel can fit through a wedding ring.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're that narrow, so they can squeeze down the mouse burrows and get the mice out. So, yeah, cute to look at, but not if you're a mouse without
Worst
any
nightmare,
doubt.
isn't it? Got this sent in by Mark Yules as well. Just take a look at that. Isn't that stunning?
Oh, my goodness me.
I know, wow. Got butterfly pumpkins. I mean, just the detail on the wings. I mean, here we've got a swallowtail, which is the fourth one on the top row there. I mean, the fact that you can identify different species, a purple emperor, which is second, I believe. I mean, how much skill must go into that?
Well, hold on a minute. I'm a bit suspect of that. Well, they're so symmetrical. Do you think they've been cut on a laser?
I think Mark's just really skilled. He's got a really steady hand.
I think he's got one of those laser cutters and he's put the pumpkins in there.
Well,
whatever. I mean, they are outstanding.
Yeah, they
There's
are really cool.
No doubt about that.
Really cool.
Now, as you know, we've been starting many of our 8 out of bats with Susie Dent. She's given us a wildlife word of the day. So it's a teaser. She will tell us a word and we will have to try and guess whether it's to do with a certain species or a natural phenomenon, something like that. So here's Susie with today's wildlife word of the day.
Today's word involves a creature that I think is one of Chris's favourites, perhaps because it's often treated like an underdog. So the question is, which insect has a name that may go back to an ancient root, meaning to weave? And I'll give you a clue, it's not what you think.
Weave, but it's not the obvious one, which probably means, therefore, it's not spiders, giant insects anyway. Obviously, they're arachnids. We'll give you the answer at the end of the programme. Now, before I forget, I've got to draw your attention to this small but perfectly formed pin badge. Yes, it is the 8 out of 10 bats pin badge. They are selling out very rapidly. We said we'd make 4,000 of them. There are just a few hundred left, so if you would like one, the details are in the chat. You can sign up now. And I have to tell you that they're going to be a bit bigger than this one, honestly. Yeah, so that was just a test that was. It is Halloween, and we're going to be looking at all of those creatures which are surrounded by mystery. Some of them are a bit creepy, some of them are said to be a bit scary. And of course, if you're out in the dark and you can't see very often, you hear things which can be definitely spooky. So we're going to start with some spooky sounds. Here is spooky sound number 1. Chrissia.
Definitely know what that is. Tawny owl.
Yeah.
The typical tweet-too. I know that call. And in fact, I'm sure you can hear those in urban environments as well.
Yeah, I mean, as long as there are mature trees, you'll find them into the hearts of cities, you know, where if they can't catch as many small rodents, they'll take birds and things like that. So you'll definitely get them around your neck of the woods. You just need to get your ears out at night.
Honestly, I can't wait to actually hopefully get to see one, because hearing them, I guess, is more common, but seeing one is
special.
Yeah, definitely. But they are calling a lot more at this time of year. They're just going into their breeding season, so the males are communicating with the females, and they're both trying to keep others out of their territory. So from now on through to Christmas and January is their peak calling time. Anyway, we've got another sound. Have a listen to this one. That's just plain weird.
What a sound. I mean, it's just the most insane sound you've ever heard. It's crazy, isn't it? Now, I've got to tell you that this is the call of the Great Northern Diver. What a bird. Great Northern Divers.
Stunning.
One of my favourites. Summer plumage. Just like an optical illusion.
I know.
Isn't it? But they're often referred to in America as loons, and you can see why. I mean, imagine, you know, you're sailing on a little canoe in a misty lake in North America, and you hear that echoing across the water. Got no idea what it would be.
No.
Amazing.
It's very, very eerie, isn't it?
is.
Very eerie indeed.
Yeah,
Got one
for
more
a
for you now. Have a listen to this one. This one's tricky. Yeah.
What could that be then?
Well, I have heard it. I didn't hear it at first until I was about 23 years old, 24 years old, because these birds are quite scattered in their distribution. They kind of turn up and they disappear again. They're strictly nocturnal. And Megan has got one on her fist right at the moment. Just look at that. What a bird, honestly.
This is the culprit. This is a long-eared owl. This one is a female. She's called Kate, after Kate Winslet. She's about 8 years old, and she's been here at the British Wildlife Centre ever since she was hatched and reared. And I have to say, I'm a little bit in love, because this is not an animal you get to see in the wild very often. They're very rare, very secretive. Sometimes you can hear them. Obviously, we heard the call a little bit earlier on. And when males produce that call, it can travel up to 1 kilometre. And they'll repeat it every 2 to 3 seconds to get the attention of females. Now, she is really beautiful. This animal will live in coniferous woodland and in tall grasses, shrubby land, but they're so well camouflaged that often you can hear them but not see them. And as Chris said, they are very much scattered, and they're a scarce breeding bird, which means there's only about 3,500 breeding pairs, and you do not see them very often, which is why I'm so thrilled and so excited and so in love with Kate here. But they get their name from one very distinctive adaptation. Now, she's not showing us right now because she's quite relaxed, but when long-eared owls feel a little bit unsure, a little bit threatened perhaps, they try and make themselves look a little bit bigger, and they have ear tufts. Now, you might be able to see on top of her head there are feathers just poking up. Now, these aren't ears at all, these are just feathers, but to give the illusion of being intimidating, which, I mean, she's adorable, isn't she? But to a predator, she wants to appear bigger to protect herself, so she'll erect those ear tufts and make herself look a little bit scary, which is hard to do when you're this cute. Anyway, whilst I schmooze over Kate the long-eared owl, we should take a look at a very important film. Now, it's a wonderful thing to go out bird watching. It's something I really enjoy doing, especially now. I've enjoyed it more and more as the years have gone by. But sometimes when you're out in nature looking for birds, it doesn't feel like a place for everyone. And this is why the inception of the Feminist Bird Club started. It's a great initiative, all in the heart of London and further beyond, inviting everyone to come and share their passion for birds.
The first time that I remember being excited about nature was when I was a little girl. But it wasn't until I got a lot older that I was able to find community and start to really be vocal and honest about my love for the natural world, because it was definitely something that I buried due to society's perception of nature lovers and who should be allowed in the outdoors. The first time that I truly felt empowered to be in the outdoors and to connect to my right to be in the natural world was the inception of the Feminist Bird Club that I started with Ellie Gordon. So I'd been watching the growth of the Feminist Bird Club organisation online for a while, and because they're based in the United States, I felt as though it wasn't something that I could connect with in my own life. So I thought about it and I reached out to the organisation and asked them if they would give me permission to start a chapter here in the United Kingdom. Of course, they said yes, so I was very excited to have permission to start one here in the UK. We've been really lucky to do a number of different events based around London so far. There are incredible wetlands and nature reserves right on our doorstep. We're really excited because we've got another one of our bird watching walks, and we're expecting quite a big turnout, so fingers crossed for another wonderful and really rewarding group.
The main thing that drives me to do what I do is being able to share the beauty of the natural world with everyone, and the fact that people are more likely to protect what they love and what they can see. Elle reached out to me about a year ago asking me to be co-founder of FBC England. The whole point of it is to fight for both conservation and social justice. The feminism side of it is incredibly important. So it needs to be completely inclusive to, black, brown, trans, queer, non-binary people. So it's important to connect these communities to nature because historically and even today they might not have felt safe in nature, have been excluded and haven't seen themselves in these spaces.
I think within birding, a lot of the spaces look quite the same, or a lot of the groups look quite the same. So it's really nice to have a space that really celebrates people being in nature regardless.
One of the things that I absolutely love about the Feminist Bird Club is you don't need any experience or any knowledge about the natural world to come and join us. In fact, we don't claim to be experts. We're just people that love nature ourselves and also want to learn more. And the beauty of this organisation is that with a community that's in an entirely safe space, you can do that without fear of judgment, without fear that somebody's going to belittle you or cut you down because you mis-ID'd something. And it's about finding that little nugget of inspiration that you might take home, and then you might be looking out your own bedroom window and see something and say, oh my goodness, that's a Eurasian jay. I saw one of those on the walk last weekend. And that perpetuates a narrative of inspiring other people about the natural world, a child, a brother, a sister, a parent. And I think that speaks to the greater good of these kind of organisations.
People love it. As I say, people have returned again and again. We've got some really good feedback of, we're a bird club, but people who just enjoy nature and being outside have come along, and hopefully it's kind of a gateway into loving birds for them.
Wow, look at that. It's so important to have a space and a place where you can just be yourself. If you're ever wanting to be involved in getting out birding with them, you can actually see the link in the bio to see their events and follow them on Instagram, Twitter, socials, Elle and Ellie and the Feminist Bird Club.
Oh, great clip, that. Great clip. On today's show, we're really trying to show a little bit of appreciation for some of our Halloween classics. So I'm going to kick off with the Bird of Death. So, yeah, it was good, that one. It was spooky. Stalking graves, circling like vultures. In Swedish folklore, they're the ghosts of murdered people. And in German tales, the tormented souls from hell. And who can forget that London will fall if they ever leave the tower? Of course, I'm talking about the raven, the biggest member of the crow family, with a wingspan of around about 1.5 metres, kind of similar to that of a buzzard. And I've got to say, on a personal note, one of my favourite birds. I mean, the honking of a raven is something special indeed. And not just that, they're really known for their intelligence. It's been reported in cities that they'll often drop nuts that are too hard to crack with the beak onto roads, where they'll then be run over. And then they'll fly down and actually wait for the green man to come up before crossing to make sure they're safe. And then they're also known for playing dead near carcasses so that other crows think they've been poisoned, so they'll go and leave the carcass for them. And also, they're known to push rocks onto people who are getting too close to their nests, which is, yeah. And yeah, no comment. They're also a bird of mystery, and they're known to roll around in ants, and a lot of birds do this, and it's believed that maybe it's like an insecticide. Either that, or they just like rolling around in ants, which is what I often do on a Tuesday. They're also known for the hand gestures, similar to us with our hands and fingers. They'll do that with the beak. And it's even been reported that they have empathy and hold grudges.
Wow.
It's crazy, isn't it? What a bird, what a bird.
Creepy crawlies, mystical stories, all these different types of things. Next up is the spiders. A lot of people actually have a fear of spiders, but I think they're quite cute. Take a look at this zebra jumping spider. How cute is that? They're gorgeous. Look at the eyes on them. They actually have 360 vision.
Oh, really?
So it really helps with hunting and jumping.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Spiders are amazing. Not only do we have them, we also have wolf spiders. Here we can see them mating. In fact, the male there on the right has pulps. If you look closely now, you can see them waving it about. Waving it about, just trying to court the female spider on the left there.
Wow. Oh, it's an amazing bit of footage.
So,
that.
yeah, footwork.
Yeah,
footwork.
Yeah.
Loads of footwork, loads of footwork.
Wish I could dance like that. Blimey. Now, just before the show, Bat Conservation and Bug Life did a Halloween show, Halloween-inspired show. They had a bat off and a bug off. Now, the link is in the chat if you want to catch up with it a little bit later. Now, one great way to connect through nature is to connect through art, and someone who's doing just that is Paul Harfleet. Paul Harfleet. And he's known for doing amazing pieces of artwork that he then uses gentle referencing to dress up as them. And he also sells T-shirts of some of his designs. We can see him here doing what looks like a bat. Oh, wow.
Talented. Wow, look at the detail.
The detail on the ears and the nose. It's just incredible, isn't it?
It's crazy.
What a beautiful drawing that is.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that is
He's really
cracking.
done a good job with that.
He has, hasn't he? I feel inspired. That's brilliant. Love the ears.
So creative, and the eyeshadow matches, almost look similar.
It does, doesn't it? And it's that subtlety again. It's that gentle subtlety. Really makes it, doesn't it?
Honestly.
Oh, brilliant. Love that.
Next up, we have Billy, and he'll be talking about the captivity of dolphin and whales. Very important issue.
Here in the UK, 28 species of whales, dolphins and porpoises, otherwise known as cetaceans, have been recorded around our coasts. This includes familiar species like the bottlenose dolphin and orca, as well as the second largest living being in the world, the fin whale.
Witnessing a large pod of common dolphins like this may fool you into thinking all is well. But globally, whales and dolphins are in trouble.
Rising sea temperatures, overfishing, hunting, and pollution are just some of the threats currently facing cetaceans around the world.
It is estimated that by 2050, there will be more plastic than fish in our oceans. And it's those plastics which break down and become toxic.
On the 3rd of January 2016, a beloved female orca called Lulu washed ashore on the Hebridean island of Tyree. She was part of a small pod of orca known as the West Coast Community, and she tragically died after becoming entangled in discarded fishing rope. A post-mortem later revealed that her body contained harmful chemicals known as PCBs, at a concentration 100 times higher than the survivable threshold. This made her infertile, and she never reproduced. In fact, scientists later found that her blubber contained more harmful chemicals than any marine mammal ever recorded, and she was treated as toxic waste.
Exposure to toxic pollutants in our oceans is leading to cancer, birth defects, and fetal deaths among cetaceans. Taking orcas as an example, many populations around the world have declined. They're loved by many, so much so that, paradoxically, they have been the star of many dolphinariums for decades. One well-known female, called Tokite, also known as Lolita, recently passed away after half a century in captivity. She was one of at least 53 orca currently kept in captivity for human entertainment.
Even in the UK, dolphinariums were once a popular tourist attraction. Between the 1970s and early 1990s, there were more than 30 dolphinariums keeping more than 300 dolphins, including orca. Thankfully, it's been 30 years since the last dolphinarium closed its doors here in the UK, but globally, the dolphinarium industry is booming.
This year, SeaWorld opened its first park outside the US in Abu Dhabi, reportedly holding 24 bottlenose dolphins, and many more facilities are under construction in China. In Europe, there are 300 captive cetaceans held in dolphinariums.
There is no doubt about the damage the captivity industry can do to wild populations and to the individuals that are unlucky enough to meet this fate. So, is there hope?
Ocean sanctuaries are being created, like the Sea Life Trust Beluga Whale Sanctuary in Iceland, to which Whale and Dolphin Conservation is a partner. These sanctuaries provide a more natural home for once captive whales and dolphins, where they can live peacefully, free from performing. And for suitable candidates, they can even be prepared for a full release back into the wild.
Stopping the dolphinarium industry altogether is, in theory, quite simple. Don't buy a ticket. Support WDC's mission urging the UK government to make whale and dolphin captivity illegal here in the UK. Add your voice and raise your concerns to politicians. And if you want to see whales and dolphins for yourself, come to places like this, Shannery Point on the Moray Firth in Scotland, where you can watch them wild and free without causing them harm or disturbance.
Hopefully before long, dolphinariums will be a thing of the past. Our oceans will become cleaner, and whales and dolphins can be given the space to thrive once more.
Some pretty poignant messages there from Billy Heaney and Whale and Dolphin Conservation. Thank you very much for that very important film, all getting us to think about where our money goes. You know, we really need to be updating our behaviour with modern welfare, and we can end captivity forever if we just don't buy a ticket. We have to think where these whales and dolphins come from. Some are born in captivity, but many are still caught from the wild. And one documentary which was formative to me is called The Cove, all about the capture of dolphins off Tangi in Japan. It's devastating, but an important watch. So if you'd like more information, do watch that. And all the clips and links for Billy as well as Whale and Dolphin Conservation are in the chat. Now, one thing you can do, of course, is never buy a ticket to these types of parks, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't go out and enjoy cetaceans. And the best way to do that is, of course, to see them in their natural habitat. And we're really pleased to be partnering with Hebridean Adventures. It's a fantastic organisation which is all about engaging people with these amazing animals. They do tours out of Oban where you can go and explore remote places in Scotland, all around islands, do some great island hopping to see species like seabirds, sharks, basking sharks, one of my favourites, as well as all the whales and dolphins too. And of course, when they're out and about on these cruises, they're taking valuable data, reporting sightings of these animals to inform scientists and conservation how we can better protect them. So if you would like to see whales and dolphins, do try to come and see them in the wild. And Hebridean Adventures is a great way of doing so. I'm really pleased that I'm hoping to be partnering them next year, in fact, by doing a little bit of a tour with them, which I'll be really excited, and more information on that will be coming very, very soon. Now, of course, this is quite a serious topic, and when we think about all this kind of stuff, it can be pretty hard for our mental health and our physical health when we're talking about animal welfare and, of course, the biodiversity crisis. But one person we had on last week was the wonderful Dr. Amir Khan. He's a great friend of ours, and he was talking about mental health. But now we thought we'd invite him to talk a little bit about physical health and access to nature. So hello, Amir, can you hear me?
Hi, Megs. Yeah, I can hear you. That video was incredible, and you're absolutely right. The best place to see nature is out in the wild. Don't buy a ticket. It's just horrendous. Go out in the wild. It's better for your physical and mental health.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I've had the pleasure of visiting your garden. I've seen all the wildlife there. How do you personally connect with nature?
For me, it's all about local access. You know, the stuff that comes into my garden, the birds and the hedgehogs, really, really important because, you know, when lots of us are so busy and we just kind of get snippets of nature that we kind of find time for in our life, and we don't often have time to go away and have a look at it. So for me, it's that, the parks. I'm very lucky. I have a lovely park I can run around each morning, and there's deer in there and there's badger, and it's just absolutely stunning. And the benefit that gives me, the run I have in the morning before I go to the surgery, great for my physical and mental health. And when I come back from a really busy day at the clinic again, I usually go straight out into the garden, normally just to fill up the bird feeders because they are ravenous right now. They need filling up every single day. And the hedgehogs, one of them still hasn't hibernated and he's still eating, so I've got to put food out for him as well.
And you've got bullfinches. I'm still very jealous of that. But what about access to nature? Because sometimes when you go out, I mean, I notice that I see the same type of person, and we really need to be including all communities in this kind of conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So from my point of view, from a health point of view, nature, there's proven benefits, both physically and mentally. We're more active when we're outside. That is great for our heart health, our blood pressure, our mental health, our stress levels come down. And all of that should be available to absolutely everyone. And I'm conscious a lot of the people watching this will be hearing this, and I'm preaching to the choir. And what we've got to do is widen the net. We've got to encourage people who haven't had the privilege of being out in nature as much as we like to get it. And we've got to understand why that is. You know, part of my role as the president of the RSPB, part of it is the health side of things, but also widening access. You know, I'm a very proud South Asian Pakistani man, and I want to see more people from minority backgrounds go and access nature. But we can't just say to them, come on, look, it's so good for you, come on. We've got to understand why they may not feel welcome there, what the reasons they have for accessing nature. You know, what is it? Is it a religious thing? Is it a cultural thing that, you know, will benefit them? We've got to really work with the communities and really understand what they want to get out of nature and how to make it accessible for them. The other groups are, you know, socially deprived populations who may not have access to nature. Certainly where I work in Bradford, if I say to some of my patients, you know, you really benefit from spending time in a green space, a lot of them would have to get 2 buses or a train to get there, and that costs money. And we're in Yorkshire and we've got the Yorkshire Dales, but even that costs money to get there. I'm really pleased, in terms of costs, the RSPB from the 6th of November, if you're aged 16 to 24, you get free access to their reserves because we know the cost of living has hit young people really hard. And if you're feeling low, obviously talk to a healthcare professional if you are feeling very low. But getting outside in nature, you can do that for free if you can get yourself to an RSPB reserve if you age 16 to 24.
Yeah, I was really pleased to hear that news, although slightly disheartened because I'm 28, so I feel like I'm over that boundary a bit.
You're still a baby. I'm 42. Imagine how I feel.
Oh dear, but
still a baby.
well, thank you very much. I'll take it. But it's great, isn't it? We want to foster that connection with young people with all kinds of backgrounds because nature really is a space for everyone.
It really is. I think that's it. You know, it shouldn't just be a privilege of the wealthy or those people who can afford to go there. It is for everyone. And we've got to, as the people who advocate for nature and do everything we can to try and conserve it, we've got to shout about it as well and tell people that it's good for them and they'll really enjoy it, because then they will join our fight to protect nature as well. And it's not just kind of historically marginalised populations. It's not just socially deprived populations. It's the LGBTQ plus community as well. We want everyone out there to go and enjoy the physical and the mental health benefits of being in green spaces, and then join us in fighting for conserving it. Because the more of us there are, the better it is for us and for nature. It's a win-win for everyone involved.
For sure, representation is really important. Amir, I've got to be honest, I've just finished your new book, How Not to Have an Arranged Marriage. It's your first fiction book. It is phenomenal. I was laughing, I was crying. I highly recommend it. The depth of the characters is brilliant.
Thank you so much. You know, that book took me 3 years to write because I was doing it in between everything else, but I'm so pleased you liked it. I know we spoke earlier and I gave you a book recommendation which isn't nature related. It's the Britney Spears book. I just finished that one and honestly God, my eyes are open. It was so interesting. So yeah, we exchange book recommendations, don't we, Megs? It's nice.
We do. It's really good. It's always good to open, you know, your horizons and see more perspectives, and I definitely learned a lot through the interactions of the family featured in your book. So,
oh, thank you so much.
Highly recommend to anyone watching, do go out and get Amir's new book. It's really fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, Amir. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Oh, pleasure's all mine. Thank you.
Thank you. See you later. Now, just when you can't imagine the world of fungi could get any weirder, there's always Lucy Lapwing with a prop to share.
Thanks so much, Megs. Yes, today I have got a treat for you. This is a botanical STD transmitted by an insect. Welcome to the Campion smut, which is just a fantastic name. Now you'll see some pretty flowers here. These might be quite familiar to you. This is the red campion flower. You'll see this in the countryside in hedgerows. This is what it looks like out in the wild. Beautiful, beautiful plant there, bright, vivid pink colour. You'll see them in hedgerows in the countryside, in parks, in urban spaces, really common throughout the year. Now, the really interesting thing about red campion is what is called a dioecious plant. Hopefully I said that right. That means that male flowers and female flowers are on separate individual plants. They're completely separate. So you can see a photo of the two of them side by side here. We've got the male flower there on the left-hand side. You can see those stamen just poking out the flower there. And on the right-hand side, that's the female flower. Those are the stigma sticking out. So they look quite different when you do look at them a little bit up close. Now, this fungus, the campion smut, has evolved to take advantage of this flower. And what it does is it harnesses the power of insects. So I'm pretending my hand's a bumblebee here. This bumblebee has already visited a red campion flower that's been infected by the fungus, so it's carrying its spores. If it flies in and meets this male flower here, it'll land, feed on some pollen, but as it does so, hopefully this will work, it transmits some of those spores to the flower, so you can see it gets infected. The fungus then takes hold inside the plant and it starts to cause it to change. So instead of producing those creamy white anthers covered in pollen, it changes colour and starts producing spores of the fungus instead. So it means when another insect comes along and lands on it, it helps transfer those spores. So you can see a photo of that here side by side, both an uninfected male flower on the left and an infected one on the right. This is really, really good to try and spy when you're out on a walk. See if you can find ones that have been infected. You can even see there's a little bit of smattering of those purple spores there on the infected one. It looks a little bit grubby and dirty. So that's absolutely amazing. Really, really clever mechanism by the flower. But what happens if this bee that's carrying those spores lands on a female flower? Well, it'll come in and land, obviously put some spores on there. But this causes an amazing transformation. So this female flower, all of her female parts, those stigma that will shrivel and disappear, And in its place, male stamens will grow and they'll continue to emit those spores. Again, just repeating the cycle, so when another bee comes in, they'll take those spores and transfer it to another red campion. It's absolutely fascinating. I love the interaction between these species. Something you'd think so ordinary, like a red campion. I appreciate them every day. And when I learned about this, it absolutely blew my mind. So not quite as gross as my subjects last week. Hopefully this definitely hasn't put you off your dinner. I'm going to show you now a film from Cressy. Now Cressy, I'm so jealous of this. Cressy this morning got to go out and meet some of the most whiskery, cute, furry-faced and wet inhabitants of the British Wildlife Centre.
I'm here outside the otter pen and I'm waiting to meet Matt the keeper, who's going to show me how to feed the otters. I'm so excited. What type of fish you got them?
Just bits of cod, a few sprats in there as well. That should entice them over.
How old are they?
Well, there's two in here, a male and a female. Bane, the male, he's about 5 years old, and then Morgan, the female's 4 years old. They've only been together about 6 months now, so they're kind of still settling down together. But things are going well, they like each other. So hopefully within the next year, we'll have a litter of cubs, yeah.
What's the population like, you know, generally in the UK? Will I be able to see them in London?
Well, they have been spotted there. I wouldn't say it's a definite thing that people can go there to see them. I mean, they have been spotted there in the past. They've not been doing too bad recently. They have been increasing. It's now believed that they're back in every county of the UK. Oh, OK, here he is. Just coming on the horse there. Yeah. Slowly making his way over.
Oh.
So this is Bane, one of our males. Come on, matey.
How big do they usually grow up to?
Oh, this would be a fully grown male. This is large as they get. Take them a good year to get to full size, I'd say.
Dude, wow, look at those teeth.
So yeah, if you're just nice and confident.
Oh. The whiskers. I've never been this close to an otter.
And they are beautiful animals.
It's quite chilled.
Yeah, he is very relaxed, this one. Very friendly.
What do they usually eat in the wild?
Well, in the wild, a good 90% of their diet would be fish. We try and replicate it as closely as we can here at the centre. But they take smaller mammals as well.
Really? Like what?
Voles and mice around the edges of the ponds. We've seen them take frogs and newts in our enclosures here before.
He's eaten quite a lot as well.
Yeah, he's taken a fair bit here. This will be a snack for him.
Really?
In the course of a day, we'd feed our otters about 1.5 pounds of fish each per day.
Wow.
But high metabolism, always on the go. They're going to be burning that off quickly.
Quite good swimmers.
Yeah, well, that's what they're designed for, isn't it? Life in the water.
Oh, his little sounds.
Little squeak there as well.
Well, like Lucy, I am very jealous. That looks so fun.
It was so fun, so up close and personal. My first time actually having that type of interaction. Amazing.
It looked fantastic. And our wetlands and our ponds, they aren't just vital for otters, they're vital for a whole variety of organisms, one of which is the dragonfly. Now here in my hand I have got a dragonfly exuviae, basically that, exoskeleton, we'll go with exoskeleton for now. And this is basically the dried out outer skin of a dragonfly when it hatches from a when it hatches from a nymph into the fully fledged dragonfly that we know and love. They're quite beautiful little things, aren't they?
Yeah, wow, it looks so amazing. Imagine like it was once in there and then it just comes out. And nature's amazing with those types of things, just like the butterflies, right?
It is magical. It is magical. And there's certain times of the year, usually midsummer, when you tend to see a lot of these around the bases of plants like iris, around water bodies and things like that. Now, dragonflies undergo something called incomplete metamorphosis, where basically they skip the pupa stage and go straight from being an underwater nymph into the full-bodied adult form. And you can see on the exoskeleton there, where it's actually broken out of the shell. You can see that little hole in its back there. And that's basically where the nymph has kind of escaped from the casing so that it can grow into the actual dragonfly. And that actually inspired the scene out of Ridley Scott's Alien, when the alien bursts out of John Hurt's chest. Pretty cool, that, isn't it? Pretty
Definitely,
cool.
so cool. So what we're going to dive into is quiz of the day. So what do we have here? The 9 mugs that you can win. And there's terms and conditions involved, of course. Make sure you get into the chat because we would like to know, who does this bone here belong to? It's a small mammal and it lives here actually, and maybe local to you, who knows? But if you can guess whose bone this is and put it into the chat, the first person we see is the one that will win.
There you go. And from one bone to another, we're going to go and join Megs over here now.
Hello.
Hello.
Good. The rain's starting to come down quite heavy, isn't it? You can hear it.
Getting a bit torrential, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But that is a really good quiz, actually. Quite a tricky one, but a really cool one. So, you know, I'm sure there'll be some people that might just get the edge on that.
It's quite hard.
It is. We're being a little bit mean. And we're also being mean with the skull of the day. Now, this was posted on Chris's social media account a little bit earlier on. This is the skull in question for today. Now, lots of people said badger, but badger was actually the answer to the ones yesterday. And you might remember that I said that badgers have a sagittal crest. This skull is similar, especially when you look at the teeth, the dentition, but it doesn't have that sagittal crest. It's not a badger. So this animal doesn't actually occur in the UK, but it can be found in Europe, although it's not native. So it escaped in the 1930s due to releases from fur farms, which might give you a bit of a clue. So this animal is in fact a raccoon.
Wow.
It's good, isn't it? It's a nice skull.
It's beautiful in mint condition, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I'm quite envious of this skull. I might just keep this one for myself, if I may.
Don't blame you.
So whilst we enjoy this skull and we just, you know, savour every moment with it, why don't we head to a really important, beautiful film filmed by Hannah Stipfel, talking about a really important conservation project from Prickles and Paws down in Cornwall. Oh my goodness.
Where's it gone?
Oh, not again.
Autumn, a magical time of change across the landscape, with many species preparing for the colder months that lay ahead. Vibrant colours are scattered all around us as the world turns from green to orange and our walks are filled with fallen leaves. But as night falls, for one species this is the most treacherous time of the year. Bonfire night. The crackles of fires and deafening bangs fill the air. And whilst people enjoy themselves, little do they know they have built ready-made nests for one of our much-loved species. Some that could already be hibernating in the burning flames.
For wildlife lovers like us, hedgehogs are always on our mind as we approach the autumn months, especially with bonfire night fast approaching. But for one charity here in Cornwall, hedgehog protection is a constant, and they're getting busier and busier year on year.
Prickles and Paws Hedgehog Rescue is the only charity of its kind in Cornwall, being solely focused on hedgehog conservation. And it was founded by Katie South.
Prickles and Paws was started when I was still in secondary school. It started with 1 or 2 hedgehogs and it grew very rapidly. In the last few years, the numbers of hedgehogs we admit have increased quite dramatically. When we first started, we admitted 110 in our first year. We're now on average admitting up to 1,300 hedgehogs a year. There's hedgehogs in need of help and there isn't really anywhere else for them to go down here.
Depending on the hedgehog size and health, many will overwinter with Prickles and Paws. But the charity's main aim is to release as many as possible back into the wild. Sometimes the place the hedgehogs came from is too dangerous for them to go back to. So Katie and the team have a network of release sites across the county.
All of our hedgehogs go back to the wild as soon as they are ready for release, and we try and pair them up with a release site that is a similar habitat and environment. Hopefully we have enough release sites that they don't have to go too far away from where they were found.
One release site not too far from the charity is RAF St Morgan. The team here at the base have been working with Prickles and Paws for some time now, and have even established their own hedgehog conservation area.
We are here at RAF St Morgan, which is one of our local release sites. They have fantastic grounds which are left for the wildlife. We're up here today, we've got 4 hedgehogs which haven't had homes to go back to, so we are going to transfer them into the nest boxes.
And one of the lucky ones going back to the wild today is Dodo.
Dodo was trapped in a garage. She was accidentally shut in. Lovely dry nesting place, but the door was left ajar one night and she was very dehydrated, and unfortunately we haven't been able to get hold of the finders for her to go back, so she's come here.
When the hedgehogs are released, they are given food and fresh water for the first few days whilst they acclimatise to their new surroundings, a job that will be carried out by Sergeant Paul Smith.
Hedgehog numbers are in decline. And I think anything we can do, I think for years I've always scooped them up out of the road when they've been crossing, just to help them across. So as I've got older, any way I can help out, I have. And they're just the most adorable things, aren't they? Let's be honest. I mean, look at that. How can you not help?
The work that Prickles and Paws do for hedgehog rescue and conservation here in Cornwall is nationally recognised. But the charity is still run from Katie's parents' back garden, where it's been since she was at school, and now they need to move.
We never dreamed we would be admitting up to 1,300 hedgehogs a year when we started. What we've achieved is incredible, but it's not enough. We desperately need to expand. We have been able to secure a new site. We're rapidly fundraising to try and get the buildings in, because this will be the first bespoke hedgehog hospital, we're calling it, in Cornwall, and potentially further than that, but it's desperately needed. If we close, there isn't anywhere else down here to take hedgehogs, which means we don't close, we can't close.
Hedgehogs are listed as vulnerable to extinction here in the UK, and they face many threats, such as housing developments, roads and habitat loss. Threats which all stem from us.
Hedgehogs have been around for millions of years. They have evolved. They are amazing creatures, and the threats they face are ours. They're human threats. But that also gives us an opportunity to resolve those.
And it doesn't matter where we live, we can all do our bit. The future of hedgehogs lays very much in our hands, so let's not mess it up. For the hedgehogs, for us, and for the future of biodiversity here in the UK.
Prickles and Paws, what a great charity that is, really helping to look after hedgehogs, a really vulnerable species at the moment. You know, this weekend alone, they got 21 new arrivals.
Really?
Just this weekend. So the work they're doing is full of dedication, it's full of passion. But they do need more space. They do need this official hedgehog hospital. So anything you can give, the crowdfunder is in the chat. Any small donation will go such a long way in helping these precious, precious animals. They're one of the nation's favourites. Of course, one of the things that we can do is also try and help stop them from getting to hospital. And especially at this time of year, bonfire night is a real serious threat. Now, there are lots of petitions that you can go to sign to look at how bonfires should be, if they should be. But the one thing that I can give you a tip on is if you are going to light a bonfire, please, please move it before you light it, because hedgehogs will tuck themselves away and start hibernating under that pile of logs and leaves.
Yeah. If
So
you've been building it up for a long time,
Yeah.
in the corner of your garden, then all you've got to do is move it a couple of metres, take it all to pieces and move it, and you'll discover any hedgehogs, any newts, any toads, anything that's crept into that bonfire which you won't want to be burning. Good old Hannah, though. Good film, wasn't it?
Oh, she's great, isn't she? We
Hannah's
love
really,
Hannah.
really
Thank
good.
you for that film.
Do follow Hannah on Instagram. Again, the details are in the chat there. She does great Instagram posts, actually. Really, really good. Pretty slick, I have to say.
Pretty glamorous, actually.
Okay,
Hannah.
quite glamorous.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, let's have a look at one of them now. Let's have a look.
Look at her. Oh,
Well, it's not just the glamour. She's taking good photos.
Well,
as
no,
well.
I know
Look,
what it's
look,
both.
Look, hold on, look here. What do we get? Picture of a kestrel. Quite nice.
She's good.
She is good.
She spends so much time going out looking for wildlife with her camera. She's so dedicated to what she does and so brilliant at what she does. And then to share it on Instagram in that way, you know, she engages a whole different kind of audience, which is brilliant.
I take pictures too, and I've got an Instagram account.
Well, it's not quite the same level as Hannah, though, is it? I mean, you know, you might be well known and have, you know, quite a few followers, but at the same time, they're not quite the gorgeous glam appeal that Hannah has.
Listen, you haven't been checking out my Instagram recently, have you? I've taken
What have you done?
No, I've taken a leaf out of Hannah's book. Look at this. This is my recent post.
Let's see.
Look, glamour.
Okay.
Looking down the
stare.
lens. Looking down the lens. Pan down the lens.
You're just copying her.
Pan down the lens. Cut to the subject. Look at this. Look. Oh. Yeah.
What?
It's my mate Jim. It's a great one, eh?
What was that? Sorry, can I see that again?
Yeah. There's me. That's the glamorous bit. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, looking very suave. And then pan down the lens. Good technique, indicating that there's something at the end of it, and kaboom.
Why is Jim Moir in a hedge?
It's his natural habitat.
But why is he lurking around in a hedge? And why are you stalking him with
not.
a camera,
It's a mate of
more
mine.
specifically?
I don't know why he's in a hedge. He's looking through the hedge with his binoculars. He's a really keen birder, massively keen birder. Also a brilliant artist. Might not know that. He paints birds. He's got a book out about birds, including all of his paintings. Look at this, bearded tit.
That's a nice
very, very
one.
nice. These are prints that were available on his website. Again, details, of course, are in the chat. Look at that.
Ooh,
Yeah,
green.
Slavonian grebe. Look at the red eye, piercing red eye.
Golden as well. It's lovely light.
And then we got this one as well. Look, redback shrike having impaled a robin. Yeah, that's your Christmas card sorted.
Quite decapitated, isn't it? It's quite. Do you know, I might send that to my grandma. She might not like
That's
that.
the Christmas card.
Quite beautiful. He's such a talented artist.
Someone you
I've
might
actually,
not like.
I've actually got one of his prints at the Framers.
Yes?
Yeah,
I know.
I do. I love Jim. He's got some really great artwork, and all of that is available on his website. So do make sure you check him out and follow him on Instagram as well, because he posts some funny videos too.
Very funny.
He's better at Instagram than you.
Right. I'll work on it. I'll continue to work on it.
You can try.
When it comes to filmmaking, we're really keen to give young filmmakers a showcase here and show their work. And it's Halloween, and some people think that this time of year, autumn, is all about death and decay. Jake Morris has made this film. It's the story of an apple after it falls off of a tree. Now, you may not consider that it's got much story to tell, or it might have not much impact. But Jake is about to show us something very different. Look at this. What a film.
Oh, beautiful, isn't it? All the intricacies of life after it's fallen from the tree. That apple, beautiful.
I love the munching shots of the wasp and the tongue of the red admiral going in there as well. It was great, wasn't it?
was
Anyway,
really good.
enough of Jake's marvellous film. We must move on because we've been joined by a couple of marvellous organisms, and I'm not talking about Crozia or George.
Although they are marvellous.
Sorry.
All I've got to say is, I know. Just look at her. She is gorgeous. So this is Ethel. She is an eagle owl, and eagle owls are the largest of all owls in the world. She's got a wingspan of 1.8 metres, which is taller than me, not that that's saying much. And she's that powerful, she can take a small deer, which is why I'm keeping my fingers very, very far away from her talons. Now, there is some controversy whether eagle owls are actually native to the UK. There's been lots of fossil evidence that would indicate that they were here between about 700,000 10,000 years ago. But the fossil record kind of disappears after that. So they were definitely here before humans. It's just whether they were here whilst humans are. But there's estimated to be between around 10 to 12 pairs nesting and breeding in the UK, which is something I didn't know. Actually, I think it's really, really cool. So the debate goes of whether we could have a fantastic bird like the eagle owl soaring above our skies, but then weighing that up against the fact that it may impact on the ecology. But whatever happens, eagle owls are cool. Are just so cool.
They're amazing, aren't they?
The eyes, honestly, you can look into their eyes, but their eyes look into your soul.
Yeah, they're like
honestly.
marbles, aren't
Yeah.
they? Stunning. I mean, it'd be amazing to see one, of course, in the wild.
Oh,
Selfishly,
yeah.
what an amazing experience that would be. But I guess in terms of competition for other species of owl and everything else, it could be, you know, we've got to think about that in terms of conservation. But, oh God, what a bird.
What a bird. What a bird. But difficult to encounter, unlike your owl, Gracia, which is much more common.
Yeah, so here we have a tawny owl. She comes in peace. This is Yoda. She's 3 years old. She was actually hand-reared, had to get that correct, which means essentially she's been raised here. And just look at her. She's completely beautiful. She has her dark-coloured eyes, dark brown, and her size is just so cute, I must say.
Well, yesterday you gave the Harvest Mouse 10 out of 10. How are you going to score Yoda the Tawny?
11.
You're old owl. Old owl.
So cute.
They're absolutely stunning, aren't they?
So sweet.
Yeah, very, very good. But lots of fluff. Look at this. I can put my finger right in. Oh, no, that's all right. I'm not going to do any harm. I thought you might want a little tickle. Let's see. Yes, there we are. A little tickle there.
Oh, look.
That's
the spot.
This out. But you can see that there's an enormous amount of fluffy feathers there. Which are all about keeping her quiet while she's flying around, typically in woodland, of course. Although she wouldn't be flying around tonight because these feathers are not terribly waterproof, and as you can hear, it's pouring with rain, and this impacts on tawny owl's capacity to hunt effectively, because when all of the leaves on the forest floor are rustly and dry, she can hear the small mammals that are treading on them, but if it rains like this, of course, they go soft and she can't hear. And so prolonged periods of rain, not good for tawny owls. They don't like getting wet, and they don't like not being able to hunt those small mammals. Beautiful. All right.
I've also heard that she actually goes swimming occasionally, which is quite rare for her kind.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's amazing, isn't it? What a beautiful bird.
But, you know, we've heard the call of the tawny owl earlier. This is a species that you should be able to hear in the city and engage with.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So pleased to actually see one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of the time you hear them before you can see them because they're so well camouflaged, but they do the kind of, well, the female goes the quick, and then the male typically replies with two, right?
Mm-hmm. Tweet to the typical owl that we all know commonly.
Fantastic stuff. Okay, let's leave the owls for a moment. We are coming towards the end of tonight's 8 out of 10 bats. Susie Dent set us a word at the top of the programme. There was no prize today for the word, and the word was weave. Which species is associated with the word weave? Let's hear from Susie.
Well, today's word, remember, involves an insect whose name looks back to an ancient root we think meaning to weave. And I did warn you, it might not be what you think because it has nothing to do with spiders and everything to do with the wasp. And the idea of weaving is probably involved here because the wasp chews up wood into a papery substance that it then weaves or uses for its nest. And that wasp is also part of an ancient family that includes the Latin vespa. And that in turn, of course, inspired the name of the Vespa scooter that does make a kind of waspish noise as it buzzes past.
There we are. Wasps.
Of course.
Using their,
well, that's obvious.
Well, I knew that all along.
Makes sense, though.
Did you know that?
No.
No, I didn't know that either. I like wasps a lot, though. I think they're very, very beautiful animals. And, of course, when they are essentially weaving their paper envelopes around their nest to make sure that the developing young are kept at the optimal temperature, that's where the origin of the word came from.
Amazing, beautiful animals, aren't they?
Did anyone get it? Yes, they did. Caroline Maudsley got that. But, Caroline, we're not offering the mug for the word quiz today. We're offering it to the first person who could name which species this bone came from. And equally important, which bone it was. Now, a couple of people knew that it had come from a fox. Ian Willowbrook knew it had come from a fox, but it was Sarah Bannon that got it right, because she said that this is a fox's penis bone, and it is. A baculum is the name of that bone. Now, foxes have penis bones like that, and in fact, most mammals do. Mammals without a penis bone, let me think. Humans, obviously, cattle, horses, cetaceans, although they have quite a fibrous penis, but most of the other species have penis bones like this, the baculum. And the reason for that is, of course, that in some circumstances, mating effectively is quite difficult if you don't have a very, well, I'm going down the wrong road here, aren't I? You know, a very effective penis. And on that account, I mean, the penises come in all shapes and sizes. Largest penis in the world?
Whale.
Yeah, blue whale.
Oh, well, is it in relation to body size though? Because in that case, it would be a barnacle.
It is, yeah. Biggest penis in relation to body size. Okay, one last penis question for you, off the top of my head, penis quiz. Okay, so we roughly know how big a human penis is. What about a gorilla? With my fingers, how big? How you say stop when you think we've got to the size of a gorilla's penis?
Stop.
Okay, that's where George says. Chrissia?
Stop.
Okay, Megs? Oh, come on.
Stop.
You're being obscene.
I am, yeah. But I don't know.
4.2 centimetres.
Oh, tiny.
Massive male gorilla has got a very, very small penis.
Well, we should just make sure to say size doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't matter gorillas, that's for sure. Okay, so do let us know who was it. It was Sarah Bannon. Let us know your address, Sarah, and we'll post you one of the, just be careful of the owl there, fabulous 8 out of 10 bats mugs. There we are.
Now,
Okay.
of course, we've been asking you to send us in your photos and videos, and we're so pleased because you've been sending us lots. Do continue using the email and the hashtag 8 out of 10 bats, but we want to share. We've got time for just 2 to share with you now. Now, this photo was sent, but this is an interesting story, Chris, one that's particularly pertinent to us. You've obviously lived in the New Forest. I've grown up there as well. There are 2 absolutely terrifying animals which are terrorising this whole ecosystem, and there is fears that they could spread. Have a look at this photo sent to us.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! I recognise them. It's the ghosts of Poodle's past.
It's the ghosts of the New Forest, the poodles of the New Forest.
I can tell from their noses that was Nancy on the left and Sid on the right there.
They've turned into ghosts and they are haunting the New Forest.
Sometimes when they're fidgeting about on the bed, I wish they would be spirited away. There's no question about that.
But apparently they sat really well. Although Charlotte was giving them a lot of treats, so they kind of took the bribery.
Joining in with Halloween. Fantastic. We've got time for one more thing.
Yes, which is I think coming from you.
Okay, well look at this then. Tilly has produced these pumpkins. Tilly is the daughter of our fabulous cameraman Henry Tamblin. Here she is, and she's crafted this one. Look, it's got the 8 out of bats theme to it there. Surely pumpkin of the day. Surely let's take a look at Henry. Let's pan round.
See
Proud
Henry.
Dad. There he is.
Oh, there he is.
Superb. Thanks, Henry, and thank you very much, Tilly. That was absolutely fantastic. That does bring us to the end. I'm afraid we'll have to leave you. We've got to put our owls back, or they won't want to go back out in the rain. I can assure you of that. They probably want to stay in here with us. But it does bring us to the end of 8 out of 10 bats today. We'll be back again at 7:30 tomorrow night. Lots of juicy stuff coming up. Lots of wildlife photography coming up. Some exceptional photography coming up tomorrow from Rachel Bigsby. But we are going to finish again with some prose, a little bit of poetry. Now, a short while ago, Bat Conservation Trust and Butterfly Conservation got together with Wanderers of Colour, and they had a series of events called Stories Under Starlight. There was 3 of these. They were free to attend, and they were about storytelling, they were about connecting with nature, they were about bats, and they were about moths. And Aya Speaks has written this poem, which we're going to leave you with. It's very moving, and it's particularly pertinent at the moment. Good night.
Night.
Bye. Take care.
We are connected. You have a short lifespan, and I too do not own time. I am soon to release you from this box. You and I were not created to be confined. So be free, fly over different lands, continue exploring Allah's universe. Moving as you are,
unopposed. Your patterns will make a home wherever you go. Your species are more welcoming than my own. Soft, I too will continue to be free and explore different lands. I too will create homes for underrepresented communities as I go along.